Okay, so today is Monday, February 19th. I'm really excited to chat about what we're going to be talking about tonight because I feel like for those of you who are in the 1x3x5 Success Club group with Carl Deichler, it's going to be information that he shared with us last week, but I know that there's a lot of us who are not in that group, and I feel like it's really applicable to the content tonight is really applicable to a lot of places that a lot of coaches on our team kind of are. So I listened to the training call that he did last week, and it was actually a talk that he gave at the New Leaders Conference out in, I think it was out in LA last week, like a week and a half ago. So it is like brand new content that only those participants at the New Leaders Conference have heard. And then of course, once he shared it in the Success Club 1x3x5 group, we obviously have heard it as well. So I have one graphic that kind of summarizes the main bullet points that I'm going to be talking about with all of you. And what this content is over is essentially Beachbody Corporate, a specific research team from the research development department, looked at a group of 4,000 coaches. And this was coaches who, they're not like the top 4,000 coaches or the top, earners in the company, but what they are is a group of 4,000 coaches who consistently moved their business forward in 2017 and who they considered the increasers. So they like doubled or tripled or quadrupled their income or their volume or, things that are just symbolic of growing a really successful business. So that is kind of where these statistics are coming from. So they did essentially like a pilot study with these groups of coaches in order to find out exactly what they were doing in their business that the coaches kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum, coaches who were struggling, whose income and earnings and volume were decreasing, and they kind of looked at the big differences in those two groups, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight. So let me go on ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll look at this graphic. And I will also, whenever I upload the recording of this team call into our team page, I will upload this graphic with it as well. So you can print it or, just have it to look at to add to your notes or whatever you want to do with it. But I thought it was kind of just a really good summarization as to the findings of this research that they did. So like I said, these are the very specific daily business activities that this group of coaches that they called the increasers, increasing volume, income, earnings, Success Club points, coach recruitment, just coaches in the business who are having the most success last year versus the ones who maybe used to be successful but were kind of struggling last year, or whose just business was steadily declining. So that is what these increasers are and where this information is coming from. So the first sort of thing, activity, behaviors that these coaches that are a part of this increasers group were doing is following the 4 vital behaviors. They talked a lot about not overcomplicating what you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. Press play, do your personal development, drink your Shakeology, invite. They also talked about, and I think there's a point later on here that talks about inviting, how we need to expand on the invite, and really focus on that attract, connect, invite conversation that we've been having lately. So, but kind of the main gist here is don't overcomplicate it. Press play, drink your shake, do your personal development, attract, connect, and invite. And even if you don't do anything else, even if you don't do any other training, provide any other training, whatever, if you just do those 4 things, your business will move forward. The second thing that they talked about is being authentic and connecting with people on social media throughout the day. This is something that I was talking to Kyla about earlier. They used to kind of harp on posting 3 to 5 times a day. You have to post 3 to 5 times a day. Well, since Instagram stories have, become a thing, these coaches, these successful coaches, the increasers, talked about the fact that now they really only focus on posting 1 to 2 times a day of really good content, but they share tidbits of their entire day on Instagram stories. And that's where they're really able to be authentic and connect with people on kind of a more personal level versus just throwing up 5 posts a day. So for those of you that struggle to get, the ideal 3 posts in a day, the trend is showing that we're kind of shifting to, 1 or 2 posts a day, just being consistent enough to show up in people's news feeds, but to really connect with people through, Instagram stories, live videos, things like that, so that they can really kind of get a backstage pass and look as to your life, what you're doing, and things like that. The third thing that they talked about was adding followers and friends on Facebook and Instagram daily. If you have not listened to the training by Keisha Fitzgerald on how to organize your power pockets throughout the course of your week, Monday through Friday, you need to do this. It totally restructured how I used my power hour, quote unquote, every single day. On Mondays, I spend 45 minutes adding to my network. On Tuesdays, I spend 45 minutes focusing on building relationships and connecting with people. On Wednesdays, I focus on inviting and following up. Thursdays, I go back to building relationships. And on Friday, I spend my 45 minutes of my power pocket inviting and following up again. If you are not continuously doing that power pocket on Monday of adding followers and friends to your Facebook and Instagram, you are going to run out of people to talk to. That's just the fact of the matter. You're going to run out of friends, you're going to run out of acquaintances, or you're just going to run out of people who are interested in what you're doing at this point. And then also it's super important to track the new followers or the new friends that you're getting on a daily basis, the new followers that you are following, so that on those days where you do focus on building relationships and connecting and inviting, you have a list of people who are new to your network that you need to start having those conversations with. So definitely a super important part of moving your business forward is adding new followers and friends. The next thing they talked about is defining your target market. I know we talk about this a lot. We've done tons of trainings on building your avatar or figuring out exactly what you want your tribe to look like. It's so important that whenever you are talking to your Instagram stories or whenever you are making a post on social media, that you know exactly who you're talking to, that you know that the language that you're using, that the person you're trying to connect with and reach to, if you know what they need to hear, and that is how you speak to them through your posts. Not to call anybody out, but somebody who is really fantastic at this is Julie. So if you have some extra time and you want to check out kind of what it looks like to speak to your target market, Julie does just an amazing job with all of her posts on talking to, I don't want to say talking to herself, but talking to the girls she's trying to attract, ladies she's trying to attract. So just kind of as an example there. The next little bullet point, focus your social media around 4 to 5 themes and stay on your brand message. We've talked about this before too, making your list of 5 or your list of 10 and being sure that you're using those as ideas on things to post about. Having more than 1 or 2 things that kind of encompass who you are allows you to provide variety on your social media content. So, people can expect to see different things from you, but it still allows you to kind of stay on message with what you want your brand to look and feel like. And this is something that I'm trying to be more intentional about doing. I've kind of noticed that all of my posts are my accountability posts. And so I'm trying to incorporate more of those other, 4 or 5 things that I feel like make up my life into my newsfeed. So still something I'm working on there. But like I said, those 4 to 5 themes allows you to not only show others parts of your life, but it allows you to provide variety in your posts while still sticking to your personal brand. Of course, we've heard about Instagram stories over and over and over for the last 6 months or so. What I want to encourage all of you to do is use your Instagram stories as a call to action. And I know so many of you are picking up on this. I watch your Instagram stories every single day, all of you. And whether you do a poll or you get really creative, with your graphics on inviting to a challenge group or to a coach sneak peek, or a sneak peek into accountability groups or whatever. It's a really prompting way to get people engaged with your stories. And calling somebody else out again, I'm not sure if she's on the call, but Mallory is really good about instead of doing a are you interested, yes or no, she'll do a are you interested, yes, maybe next time. And then she screenshots the maybe next time people who would probably have been a no in the beginning, and she follows up with them for her next group. So maybe instead of giving them the option of no, I'm not interested, maybe just a not right now or maybe next time sort of thing. And then track those people who are interacting in your Instagram stories. Pay attention to the people who are watching your Instagram stories. Kyla was telling me this morning that since she started using Instagram stories, the views on her Instagram stories have almost tripled just in the time that she's been consistently using them. So it is, I'm telling, Instagram stories I bet Instagram stories gets me at least 65 or 70% of my Success Club points every month. So use them. That is what they're there for. It is a really engaging way to use call to action. So outside of that, moving over to the right side, connect further offline and look for an opportunity to invite them. So what Carl talked about on this bullet point is, and kind of what Keisha Fitzgerald talked about in that Power Pocket training is, okay, so on Monday, when we are adding to our network, then on Tuesday, we build relationships and connect. And then on Wednesday, we invite and follow up. So what that looks like maybe is you add somebody on Monday, and then on Tuesday, maybe you go to their page and you like a couple of things and you comment on a couple of things. And maybe you take that comment into a direct message. So think about, if you see a post that you really want to comment on, instead of commenting on it, maybe send them a message with what you would have commented on their picture. And that forces that relationship already to become a little bit more personal. And then maybe, Wednesday, if you're doing inviting and following up, maybe the next Wednesday, over the course of that week, you've taken it to a private message, you've commented on a couple of their pictures, and then the next Wednesday when you're sending out invites, it's not as awkward for you to extend that invite to that person that you've been connecting with. And it's easier for them to say yes, or, just probe for more information, ask questions, if they have an idea of who you are. So I totally get that starting relationships and, building connections with people who you literally don't know is really uncomfortable. But I'm telling you, the way to have massive success in this business is to expand that network, or you're going to find yourself in a rut of running out of people to invite that or you're going to get discouraged because everybody that is saying no. And if you don't stay on top of personal development, you will convince yourself that if nobody close to me wants to join me, then why would anybody else want to? So expanding that market and learning how to take those comments and likes into private direct messages and conversations and really focusing on building those relationships is so insanely important. We are in the business of building relationships, and I'm going to go on ahead and say that likes attract likes, and our entire team is probably made up of 80% introverts, me being one of them. So I get that it's hard and uncomfortable, but that is the power of social media, is that I wouldn't have a close relationship with anybody on this call if it wasn't for this business opportunity in social media. So important. Let's see. Something else that they talked about here is using corporate marketing material that's in your Coach Online Office. There is so much training content there, but it explains concisely that I can't read my notes. Oh, okay. So something that Carl talked about here is being sure that you're not kind of this next bullet point, talking about the products you're using, why you love them, and then use corporate materials in your direct messages. So what he talked about here is that these coaches were saying, obviously we know the worst thing that you can do is screenshot a Beachbody promotional ad or something and post it to your timeline. Don't do that. We don't do that, right? We make things personal. We put our own touches on them, things like that. But as you start to have this, conversation back and forth with somebody that you're inviting and they want more information, he said that these increasers that we're talking about would use corporate marketing material from their back office or from, just the Team Beachbody website to kind of explain what comes in a challenge pack or to explain what Beachbody On Demand is. What I do is I use the pages on our Dream Dynasty website that, like if you click on fitness at the top and then you click on join an accountability group on dreamdynasty.com, there's kind of like some bullet points that kind of highlight what you get with an accountability group. And that is what I send them. But if you don't feel comfortable sending that, you can use corporate material to send them in a private message when they start asking questions, because it looks really professional. So kind of his main point here was you don't want to promote with those materials because it looks salesy and not personal and not relatable. But once you start building that personal connection and relationship, you can use those really professional corporate marketing materials in your direct messages to have that conversation about exactly, what coaching is or what a challenge group is and things like that. But like I said, I just use our the information on our Dream Dynasty Challenge page because it is still like really professional looking and concise, but it's also, it has a personal touch to it. So totally up to you how you want to do that. The next bullet point says to generate intrigue about new groups and launches by teasing that you're going to make an announcement. So I do this all the time. If I know that I'm going to be opening up like enrollment for my next accountability group tomorrow, and it's Monday, then tomorrow's Monday, then tonight on Sunday, my very last post on my Instagram stories, or even my last post of the day, will say something like, making a huge announcement tomorrow, like be sure to stay tuned, and then I'll make my announcement the next day. And then I know that some of you do this as well. Make it a big deal. Like, it is a big deal. Of course it's a big deal. Like, you're helping change somebody's life. But we have to let them know that it's a big deal. So I only have 10 spots, or I only have 5 spots, or I'm only taking on, 3 new ladies to mentor in this business this month, or, like, limit your spots, promote it as like a huge announcement or like this big thing that you have coming up. Make them anticipate what you're going to be sharing with them so that it's more exciting. And he also talked about leveraging a launch. So we typically have 3 to 4, maybe 5 on a good year, launches every year, whether it's a new program or a new product, things like that. So kind of, amping people up for what is to come when a new launch is coming out is something else that you can do there. But you can kind of get creative with how you amp people up for your new accountability groups and things like that. But that is something that I like to do is on a Sunday night before I'm opening enrollment, I'll say I have a big announcement. And then whenever I make my announcement the next day, I'll be sure to exaggerate the fact that spots are limited and I'm only taking so many clients. And you'll kind of get comfortable with how you, feel confident in promoting those specific things. The next one is a non-negotiable for these coaches who were top earners in 2017. You have to run a challenge group every single month. Even if you only have 3 people in there from your Success Club goal that month, you should be running an accountability group every single month. Every single month. Whether it's old clients, new clients, a combination of the two, whether it's a 21-day group, a 4-week group, a clean week group. I mean, not having something to always invite to prohibits you from being able to invite, which is one of these things on the left-hand side that they said, these increasers said that they do every single day. So use our marketing plan templates, create what you want your month to look like, reverse engineer it to know when you need to start inviting, and just make it a non-negotiable, like what Success Club should be for you every month. Make it a non-negotiable to run a group every single month, whether it starts the first Monday of the month or the Monday that is the day after your current group is over. Just make it a non-negotiable. You should always have something to be inviting to. Create demand by limiting the amount of people who can join your group. We kind of just talked about this with one of the other ones with leveraging a launch, but to really kind of show people how big of a deal our groups are and how much, how much of game changers they are, and to really kind of give them insight as to how our these accountability groups and these programs can really change their lives is something else that these increasers talked about. So I'm hopeful, what I'm hoping that you got out of this outside of these specific bullet points, and like I said, I'll share this graphic with the recording of this team call. But what I really want you, like big picture takeaway from this conversation, is I'm hopeful that what you were thinking as we were going through all of these checkpoints is, oh, that's nothing crazy. These were the top earners in the company last year. And this is what they did. We talk about these things all the time. Do your vital behaviors, focus on your own journey, connect with other people, add to your network, give them call to actions through your Instagram stories, run a group every month. Like those are just the non-negotiables that you should be doing in your business in order to move it forward. And this research, this was an ongoing 12-month research project that the research development team put together that looked at the 4,000 coaches last year who progressively moved their business forward with all the changes in social media, with the implementation of Instagram stories, with all of these sort of shifts in their businesses. These are the 10, 12 very simple things that they said is what gave them success. So if we can focus on doing these things on a daily basis in our business, there's no reason why we shouldn't be successful. So I'm hopeful that as we were kind of going through these, you were thinking like, duh, I know to do the vital behaviors, or duh, I know that I need to like know the audience that I'm speaking to, or duh, I know that I need to be running a group every single month. That's the point of Hitting Success Club. So I'm hopeful that none of these were like huge shockers to you. Maybe I'm okay if one or two of them were, but I'm hopeful that this just sort of reiterates the simplicity of this business. Now, I say simplicity instead of easy because the business is not easy, right? If it was easy, we'd all be 15-star diamonds and make 7 figures a year. But it is simple. You just have to stay consistent with these things every day, every week, every month, and just figure out how to make them a priority within your current life. Now, that doesn't mean that there's going to be days where you have a sick baby at home, or we all know, there's no men on this call, so I can say this. The husband gets sick, heaven forbid, and then it's like the world's falling apart, right? The man flu, or, whatever. Like life happens, things happen, things are going to happen. And there's going to be a day or 2 days or whatever, a week even, where you just can't sit down for an hour and send invites because life has happened. But as long as you sit down at the beginning of the week, like I keep referring to the Keisha Fitzgerald video because it seriously changed how I work my business every day. If you sit down on Sunday night and you block out those little pockets of time throughout the course of the week that you can do these things that the top earners in the company were doing last year, you're going to change your own life. You're going to change a greater number of other people's lives. You're going to move your business forward. You're going to build relationships that you would never have otherwise. And all of those things are going to force success in your business. If life comes up and if something happens, you have to give yourself grace and you have to move past it and not harbor resentment on the fact that you didn't get everything done that day, but you have to pick up and move on the next day and just stick to these very basic things. At the bare minimum, do your 4 vital behaviors. I promise you, if you get your workout done and you sweat it all out and you drink your shake and you do your personal development and you check into your challenge groups, that's not a day wasted in your business. You're still focusing on your own journey and sharing it with other people. So I just want to encourage you to not beat yourself up if things in your business aren't perfect, if you haven't made it a priority, lately, or if you're struggling with a couple things. Just stick to these very basic things that the top earners in the company are doing, and your business will move forward at a rate, which is all that matters. Now, if you have big, scary, huge goals, you're going to need to ramp up some of these things, right? But like I said, these are the increasers. These are the 4,000 coaches that were the most successful last year. So I'm going to open it up for just a couple minutes for any questions. Let me see. I always forget how to, oh, there we go. Stop share. Okay. So does anybody have any questions or anything that they want me to kind of elaborate on or anything?
I was going to make a comment. It's Mal.
Yes.
And I feel bad because you wrapped it up like really nicely. But because we were talking about Instagram stories, and I feel like I've been like obsessing about them lately. I was doing, after our call last week, I was doing some stuff about like influencer marketing, and I was literally obsessing about it. But I read some statistic about influencers in their social media, and it was saying that on your Instagram stories, it basically shows you in reverse order who's watched them. But then after 50 people have watched them, it ranks them in order of the people who engage with you the most. So if you're looking for people to go after to start like spending your Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, like going and like specifically going to those maybe like top 50 people that are with you all the time, or the top 25 or the top whatever. Because when I have like a few hundred people that have watched my story, but then I know that those top 50 people are watching it every single day, and maybe they've like, it's interesting because a lot of them have like never commented, never messaged me, never anything, but they're watching the story. So it gives you an idea of the people that are paying attention to you, that maybe if you give them a teensy bit of attention, like maybe they'll respond to you in an even stronger way.
I love that. I had no idea that that was the case. I thought that it was just always in reverse order. So that is super helpful. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to add, or anything that maybe was confusing that you want to elaborate on? Okay. Well, I hope that this was a little bit insightful. I loved it because it was more than just like a cool graphic that some coach put up. It's like research that the company has done, and these are the very specific behaviors that those increasers, like they're calling them, the difference in what they are doing versus the coaches whose business went in the opposite direction. So I just thought it was, I mean, I'm totally like a research nerd anyways, but I just thought it was really cool that it it's backed by research of these increasers, and it's also just a really awesome reminder that it's that simple. You know what I mean? So okay, well, we will go on ahead and wrap this up. I will post this recording in the team call along with that graphic, just in case you want to kind of review those specific points. And then if you guys think of anything else, just let me know. All right, bye guys. Have a good night.